This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
After a space mission goes wrong, 4 scientists become superheroes. Join us as we chat about something engaged people never say to each other, Reed Richards' finances, and how hard ESPN tried to make the X Games a thing. Flame on! We're finding out if 2005's Fantastic Four stands the test of time.
Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? James says Gladiator with the glut. Alan says as a father, blah blah. It's the test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Test of Time. I am James Brief, and joining me is the second part of the fantastic duo, Al and Noah. How are you doing, Al?
Oh, come on. Fantastic duo.
I guess it's got to be the Fantastic Two, right?
No, it's the Fantastic Four. I am all 4 of the Fantastic Four, and you are Von Doom.
So I am by far the most powerful character in this entire James Al Test of Time universe. Well, are you talking about the Von Doom in 2005 Fantastic Four or Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom in Marvel Comics?
No, I'm talking about the guy who ends this movie as a statue.
Oh, damn it.
Sorry.
All right.
So stand perfectly still. Don't move. Don't say anything. Damn it. There's a new Fantastic Four movie that comes out the day this podcast episode comes out, or I guess technically the night before, whatever. And yeah, I figured we had to go back and watch the 2005 Fantastic Four. The 2015 reboot isn't old enough. It's only 10 years old. There's that Roger Corman one that was unreleased. Yeah, I know you can find bootleg copies of it, but if it's unreleased, I feel like for the purposes of this podcast, it doesn't work to see if it stands the test of time because it wasn't a released movie, you know?
Right, and it's wild the reasons for this film existing at all. Roger Corman had bought the rights to Fantastic Four in like the 70s or something for apparently an incredibly low amount, like a couple $100,000 or something.
Yeah, like $250,000.
But the thing is, these rights expire. He realized in the contract they didn't say he had to make a big movie, so he made a movie for apparently a $1 million budget, and the actors had no idea it was like basically a fake movie.
I did read something about the Roger Corman movie that he did want to release it. It is kind of in dispute of whether the plan was always to just make it and shelve it, or if there was an intent to really release it. But apparently someone from Marvel got wind of it and then buried it and made sure that it wouldn't be released because they wanted to do a good big budget movie. And that movie was supposed to come out in 94. And then after that, it's been every 10 years. The movie we're talking about today came out in 2005. Then there was a reboot in 2015. And now there's another reboot in 2025. So it's almost like clockwork. Every decade, we get a brand new Fantastic Four movie. But I hadn't seen this one. I hadn't seen this version. But for anyone else like me who hasn't seen it, it's about a group of astronauts that develop powers after a space mission goes awry. Scientist Reed Richards, his friend Ben Grimm, his ex-girlfriend Sue Storm, her brother Johnny, and their financier Victor Von Doom board a spaceship which becomes bombarded with cosmic rays, altering their DNA and giving them superpowers. Reed becomes elastic, Sue can turn invisible and create force fields. Johnny gains the ability to ignite himself and fly, and Ben transforms into the super strong, rock-skinned Thing. As the group struggles to adjust to their new abilities and fame, Victor, mutated into the metal-skinned, power-hungry Doctor Doom, emerges as a deadly threat, forcing the newly formed Fantastic Four to unite and stop him. So I'm going to guess that this movie did pretty well at the box office because there was a sequel a couple years later.
You're correct that this was quite a big success. I've seen reports of a budget in the close to 100 million, up to 100 million in the high 80s, but around and up to 100 million dollars was spent on this film, plus marketing. And it opened really strong on July 8th, 2005. It opened at number 1. That weekend it did very well. It knocked War of the Worlds off of the top, and Batman Begins it beat, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. A bunch of films were really big. People were really excited about this film. It made $58 million on its opening weekend. $56 million. But it only made $154 million domestically. So it didn't even have a 3 times multiplier, which means this is very front-ended. The next week it tumbled to number 3, then number 6, then number 8. It wound up being $333 million worldwide. So it's a hit.
Sure.
You're definitely making a couple bucks. And this is 2005. So, this is the height of DVDs. Actually, this is the last Marvel film ever released on VHS.
Oh.
And another interesting fact about this film, until 2018, when Ryan Coogler's Black Panther came out, this was the highest grossing superhero movie ever directed by an African-American director, Tim Story. He's made a lot of films, Barbershop, Ride Along.
Right.
But yeah, let's get into 2005's Fantastic Four. This is very much, I'm going to say, a 20th Century Fox Marvel film.
Okay.
This had everything from the X-Men. It had Blade, and it had Daredevil was in this, in that cinematic
Daredevil,
universe.
Elektra.
And there never really was a connection between any of them. Not too much of a discernible amount, except Daredevil and Elektra. 20th Century Fox films were sometimes bad, sometimes very good, and sometimes very
Right. And let's talk a little bit about the cast here. I know of Michael Chiklis. I didn't watch The Shield, but I know people love it. I remember seeing him as a tough guy. Chris Evans, of course, I know as Captain America. Jessica Alba, I really mainly knew, sorry to say this, but from Maxim and stuff like that. She was at this time in movies like Fantastic Four, like Sin City, where she was the hot woman in the movie. I'd seen Sin City, I've seen Machete, but I haven't really seen a ton of movies with her. I think maybe she was the biggest name at the time of the main cast. She's front and center on the poster, or at least when I pulled it up on Disney Plus, she was in the front, which is cool that they put the woman front and center, maybe because she was a bigger name, maybe because she's very, very attractive. I thought that was cool, but also doesn't really correlate to the movie, where she is, I think, mainly relegated to more of an eye candy role.
I agree with you that she was put on because, one, she's very beautiful.
Of course.
You nailed it when you said she was the biggest name. Michael Chiklis was very big at that time, but he wasn't a movie star. He was a television star. And Jessica Alba, a year or two earlier, she had headlined the film Honey.
Right.
And that was an $18 million budget film. It grossed $65 million worldwide, domestically. And she was a star. She had headlined the film. So, yeah, you really should display her front and center. But I agree that Invisible Woman, she is probably number 4 of the screen time, I'd say, of all the people, of all 4 of the Fantastic Four. Strangely tied probably with Mr. Fantastic. I feel like the two of them get the least time.
I don't know about that. But let's talk about Mr. Fantastic. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the actor's name right. I believe it's Ioan Gruffudd. He's Welsh. I could not stand him. I really thought that he was terrible in this movie. I'm not really familiar with other things that he's done. Maybe he's great in other movies. I did read something that he had to work hard to get the American accent right, and that he was constantly getting new script pages while they were filming, and so it was hard for him to memorize his lines and deliver them in the accent. But I found his acting to be really, really wooden. Also, I disagree with you that he doesn't have much screen time. I think he is kind of the leader of this foursome. He is, I think, supposed to be the emotional center, I guess. I don't think he does a very good job. And there is this kind of love triangle with him and Sue and Doom. Obviously, you're supposed to be rooting for Reed and Sue to get together, but they have zero chemistry. I wasn't interested in them as a couple. I wasn't invested. I wasn't hoping that they get together. He looks a lot older than Jessica Alba. He's only 7 years older, but he just looks much older, and it's supposed to be like they all went to college together. It's like, no, that doesn't seem right. I just wasn't buying any of it.
I think he's miscast. I think this guy was just, I don't know if he's a bad actor really, or if, maybe the part's not really written that great, but you're right that the age discrepancy, either Jessica Alba is miscast and she's too young, or he shouldn't be written to be her classmate.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit. I think he kind of looks the role if you kind of held up a picture of Reed, and I think he's fine in terms of the looks, but I just don't think there's any chemistry there. I also didn't find him to be the best friend of Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
I thought the other three people were cast fine. I actually thought that the most fleshed out character was Johnny Storm. To an extent, I got some stuff from Ben Grimm, The Thing. But I have to tell you, I have no idea what either Mr. Fantastic or Invisible Woman, what they're about. I know nothing about their characters. I think Johnny Storm he's probably the easiest to write for, and he's the most fun to write. I think he was written well. I think he was written and acted well. He's a cocky asshole. That's kind of how he is in the comics. He's a dick to the Thing and to everyone else. That's how he is in the movie.
Johnny Storm is one-dimensional.
But that's fine for me in a movie like this.
When you said he's the most fleshed out, I'm not even really going to disagree with that. I think it's funny, though, because he is so one-dimensional, and it kind of makes Sue and Reed, like, zero-dimensional. Like, there's nothing to them. And Ben is maybe like half a dimension. I don't really know how I'm doing this math here. But the thing is, Johnny is one-dimensional, and you understand him because it's just such a simple archetype that he's cocky, he wants girls, he wants money, he wants fame.
He loves his superpower, where he's like, what the hell are you guys talking about, this curse? This thing is fucking amazing. And of course, to other people, the Thing, especially, I think his arc is very interesting. The Thing is the only one who can't turn his powers off.
Right.
He looks terrible. He has this fiance or girlfriend that breaks up with him.
Fiance.
And, I do like that she breaks up with him. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think that's something that very well could happen. I think there's probably a lot of people that get handicapped or they get into some accident and people break up with them. I think it's terrible, and I think that's a great emotional arc for a movie. This guy's devastated. Johnny Storm is getting more women because of this thing, and the Thing, he's getting people scream at him. They call him the fucking Thing.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, I think, not fleshed out enough. It's fleshed out more than Mr. Fantastic or Invisible Woman, and I do like his struggle. I just think it's a little bit, one-dimensional is the wrong word, but it's a little bit like someone's first pass at a screenplay. Like, it's not bad. It's just it's not great. I think it's an easy thing for a great screenwriter to make really good, I think.
Well, I think the problem is that you don't really understand his decisions, or at least I didn't. Because like when they're cooped up in the apartment and Johnny's like, I got to get out of here. Yeah, okay, that's the wrong move, but I get it. when the Thing says, "You're taking too long to fix me. I thought you were my best friend, and here you are hanging out with Sue. Grr, I hate you, Reed." That doesn't make any sense, because he was encouraging Reed to hook up with Sue. And yeah, he's heartbroken, and yeah, it's taking a while, but like, a lack of patience isn't a great motivator. And then he rushes to become back to his old self, and then he very quickly, instantly gets back into the machine to become the Thing again. So that's kind of what I meant when I said he's half-dimensional. Like, you kind of understand where he's coming from, but you don't understand how that motivates his actions, if that makes any sense. I'm getting a little heady for this character who looks like a rock. But I did just want to bring up when he gets dumped by his fiance. It should be a sad thing, but when he's calling her after his transformation, he says, "Do you remember when we used to say, 'Together forever, no matter what'?" And then he steps into the light and she sees him and she's horrified. First off, at that point, I thought they were married. I didn't realize they were only engaged. But even still, no, that is not a thing that engaged people say. Courtney and I were engaged for a year and a half. We didn't regularly say, "Don't forget, together forever, no matter what. Hey, honey, what do you want for dinner? Spaghetti? Sure. And don't forget, together forever, no matter what." That's not a thing. Couples don't say that. And that's just one example of pretty stilted, cheesy dialogue in this movie. And then she leaves the fucking diamond ring on the Brooklyn Bridge. Not only is that ice cold, that's a lot of money you're just leaving on the ground. Don't do that.
Right.
I get the symbolism, but come on.
And then we get to the fifth character of this film. Dr. Doom is the fucking coolest, most badass villain. And, you know, it really kind of makes sense if Marvel has to kind of course correct because of the whole, they can't use Kang the Conqueror anymore because of that, what happened to the actor, Jonathan Majors, and they kind of had to go somewhere else. If you're gonna course correct, that's when you open up your bag of tricks and you go, all right, guys, we don't have Kang the Conqueror anymore, but guess what we do fucking have? We have Dr. Victor Von fucking Doom. And that worked. And yeah, they have the stunt casting of Robert Downey Jr. Remains to be seen if that's good. But my point is that Dr. Doom, if Marvel's going to save the day, they're going to do it by hitting out of the park with Dr. Doom. Because he's so fucking cool. And his origin and his powers. And I defy you, Al, because I know you're not like a big comic book fan. You didn't read them as a kid. Tell me what Dr. Doom's powers are.
I don't know.
Right, exactly.
I guess he's made of metal, and so he's strong, and he can also do electricity. Like, he can shoot electricity out of his hands or control it, I guess.
You nailed it by saying, I guess. Because it is so unclear what the fuck Dr. Doom can do in this film. And I want to say he's played by an actor, Julian McMahon, who just recently died from a cancer battle that he didn't make public. So it was kind of a shock.
I didn't know that. I did watch a couple of episodes of Nip Tuck around this time because I did like a pop culture recap thing when I worked at VH1. So I did recognize him. And probably of, I guess, the five main characters in the movie, I think he's probably the best cast. Or I don't know, maybe Chris Evans as Johnny Storm is fine too. But I think he does a lot with the character. But it's such a weird character. Like, Victor Von Doom, I don't really get him. I don't really get his motivation. By the way, the whole thing about he's the billionaire leader of this company, but then he's pushed out by the people on the board or the investors. It really is the same thing as Norman Osborn in Spider-Man.
Exactly. Right. It throws a lot of things together. He's kind of beloved in his home country of Latveria, and he's a billionaire, but he also sort of gets some powers, and he's able to fund a spaceship, but this single failure, like, bankrupts him.
Yeah, Elon Musk blows up spaceships all the fucking time, and nobody cares. It's fine.
Right.
And they talk about Von Doom's IPO being pulled. Like, it doesn't even happen. But it seems like it's a huge mega billion-dollar corporation already, and it was just about to have its IPO. And now that that's not happening, it all goes bankrupt. Also, while we're talking about finances, Reed Richards is broke. They make several references to the fact that he has no money and the Baxter building is on its 4th or 14th mortgage or something like that. But also, he still has the building and it's filled with scientific equipment, and then he brings in more equipment to make this reverse particle chamber thing, and he has scientists coming in working on it. How? If he's that broke, he wouldn't be able to do that, and Von Doom's not funding him anymore because he's broke. And I'm not looking to see bank statements, and I don't think the problems with this movie would be solved by more explanation of finances. I don't think that's what I'm looking for, but it is confusing.
You know, I was actually thinking something similar to you, like, oh, that's interesting. They're putting him at a financial strain. I don't remember it from the comics if they are. Like, Peter Parker is famously poor, and Professor X and Westchester is famously rich.
Right.
But I actually had a little backstory in my head that actually explains what you're wondering. In my head, he does own the building, but I think it's insane how much debt he's in. I think he's leveraged to hell because Reed Richards, they don't say it in this film, but he's one of his quote unquote powers is that he's also one of the smartest people on Earth. I assume in the comics, he's able to just convince 14 banks to just give him enough loans. Like, that's the kind of thing Reed Richards would be able to do. He'd be able to keep the lights on because he's that smart, but he would say, yeah, I'm 14 million in debt. Like, I can't fund a new thing, but I can kind of convince one bank to take another thing because I'm that genius.
Fine, I'll buy that. They do reference that Reed Richards is brilliant. Even Doom in the beginning of the movie says, I don't like the guy, but he's always right. But also, he just makes so many mistakes throughout the movie, including, you know, the big one at the beginning where the solar flares come and everyone gets their superpowers. And he miscalculated with the machine later, and he makes a lot of miscalculations. And then they're also criticizing him. Sue and Ben are criticizing him for, oh, you think too much and you overanalyze, and sometimes you have to just not think and act. But no, it seems like he really should double check his work because he is making a lot of mistakes. And it's fine if he makes mistakes, but it's inconsistent. Is he a brilliant super genius, or is he constantly fucking up? It seems like the movie is saying both things at the same time.
You're absolutely right. He should never have said, I made miscalculations. He's the most brilliant man on earth. It should have been an unexpected solar flare. Like, that's the kind of thing that should happen that's unpredictable. Even the smartest person on earth couldn't predict that. But to actually say he keeps making mistakes, like, if the point of your character is you're supposed to be brilliant, then you shouldn't be making those kind of mistakes. You can be outsmarted because you're too smart for your own good.
Sure.
And then, you know, Von Doom is even smarter, maybe. Once in a while he can outsmart you because he's evil, too. I didn't get who Reed Richards was. He was kind of a loser in this film.
Yeah.
Like, he keeps fucking up, and he almost kills his friends, horribly disfigures his best friend. He's not the cool guy he is in the comic. I like Mr. Fantastic. He's a fun guy. In this film, he's kind of a loser. And it's not one of those origin stories where in the end he saves the day. He's not even basically their leader either. I mean, he's designated their leader, but I see no reason why he specifically is the leader of the Fantastic Four in this film.
Totally. And earlier you were talking about the other Fox Marvel movies. This was before, you know, the MCU and the connected universe and all of these different characters exist in the same universe. That hadn't happened yet. But I was thinking about it because there's that scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, and from that one incident, the Fantastic Four are instantly famous. They are on the cover of magazines and they can't walk anywhere in New York City without being swarmed, which, by the way, you don't need me to tell you this. You live in Manhattan, but like, there's a reason John Lennon moved to Manhattan, because people in Manhattan don't tend to give a shit about famous people. Like, they'll see you and nod and keep walking, but whatever. Like, I was thinking about the shared universe. If this is New York City, does Spider-Man live here? Do they know about the X-Men? Are there other superheroes and these are like the new kids on the block? These are the new superheroes. Or have there never been superheroes before? And this is mind-blowing that a person could fly or that someone has super strength. You don't know. It is a question, you know, and I'm probably thinking about that more because of decades of the MCU, but also because that scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, it's not that epic of a thing. There's a guy who's going to kill himself and Ben saves him, and then in the process of saving this one guy causes untold damage, and then the four of them basically clean up their own mess. I'll give the movie the benefit of the doubt that, sure, no one else died accidentally. You know, we see all the firefighters dangling and they're able to save them. And fine, there wasn't just some random person who got hit by a car or died of a heart attack somewhere else on the Brooklyn Bridge. But even still, yeah, they're heroes. Yeah, they did great. Yeah, they can do amazing things. But they also just cleaned up their own mess and really only saved one person's life. So the fact that they are all catapulted into superstardom, it just kind of left me with questions.
I think they saved a bunch of lives. There's one firefighter that falls, and they pull the other firefighters off that truck.
But those people were only in danger because of what they had done.
Right, exactly. I agree with you 100%. When people look at that footage later, you know, it's 2005, maybe there's not a million cameras on, but if there's any camera on that bridge at that moment and people realize how the fuck these explosions happened and that fire engine was pushed off the bridge, they're going to instantly hate these people.
Right.
But, I think the bridge scene is fine. It's not epic. It's not. But I think it's a perfectly fine introduction to their powers. The Thing is very strong. Invisible Woman, most importantly, she has invisible powers. And they do the naked joke a few too many times.
Yeah, because it's Jessica Alba.
Yes, I think the obvious point is people are going to imagine Jessica Alba could possibly pop up naked.
Right.
But then it also shows that Fantastic is stretchable, and he does that. And of course, Johnny is, he can fly. Of course, him flying does no help here because I don't think he could really rescue someone that falls like the way Superman can rescue Lois Lane falling from the Daily Planet, because won't he light them on fire?
Presumably?
I assume so. So I thought it was fine, that scene. I thought the special effects were fine, except I don't think they do Mr. Fantastic very well in this film. I think his special effects are pretty lame. I think Johnny Storm is pretty good. I think Human Torch is really well done.
Yeah.
I think that the Invisible Girl for Invisible Woman, I think she's done perfectly fine. Her force fields are exactly what I think a force field should look like. But I think Mr. Fantastic's special effects are just, I think they're really bad. I don't know. What did you think?
I agree with you that those effects don't look the best. I also think that the power itself is kind of cheesy in general. And I know that's not this movie's fault. I know that's what it is from the comics. But it doesn't seem like he uses his stretching power to do anything really cool. He's mainly using it to like reach for toilet paper and to reach really far away on the chalkboard. When he opens the door that's locked by sticking his fingers under, okay. The one exception is when he puts the Thing in a headlock. He kind of like makes himself into a straitjacket as the only way to contain the Thing. That is a clever use of the elastic power, but I don't think he does much cool with the power. It's not terribly impressive.
I think it was worse than not terribly impressive. I have to say that I think there was probably a big debate in 2003, 2004 when they filmed this and did the pre-production for this film over what to do about the Thing. I really think that had they gone CGI with the Thing, you and I would be tearing it to pieces. I think it would look probably really bad. The Thing has to interact in like apartments and with other people a lot, and with his fiance, ex-fiance, this new blind girl. I think the makeup is really well done for what it is. I think it was kind of cool. I just always imagined the Thing being a lot bigger.
I think I read that it was Michael Chiklis who insisted that they do practical effects, that was why he signed on to the movie, which you can sort of imagine an actor wanting the opposite, to not have to sit in a makeup chair for hours every single day. But he felt like if he was going to do this role and be the Thing, he wanted to really be the Thing. I agree with you that those effects look cool. It looks good. He looks like a real thing interacting with the world and these characters because he is. My only complaint is that they do the joke of it's hard for him to pick up things with his big fingers 18 times too many. Mm-hmm. Like the first time, oh yeah, I guess he would have a hard time dialing the payphone. But then when it just keeps happening, it's not that funny. To be the running joke that they think it is, it just wore out its welcome pretty damn fast.
I didn't think he was the comic relief that the movie wanted it to be.
No.
I happen to think that the motocross scene was actually really cool because it was real stunts. Although that's just kind of a real cool thing that Johnny Storm does, where he does this really cool motorcycle trick and he goes into a Human Torch and he's cocky, and that's kind of like a cocky sport to play. You're doing motorcycle motocross stuff.
I guess, but it was just so much fucking product placement that it was really distracting. The X Games were an ESPN thing. There's ESPN everywhere. Then when they go outside and they have their big fight outside of the X Games, then there's Burger King product placement. And apparently there was some Burger King tie-in, which I guess kind of does make sense, a flame on, flame grilled Whopper, whatever.
That's interesting. I didn't notice any of those ads at all.
Really? They were everywhere.
I didn't notice them at all. I just do notice I ate a Whopper today for the first time in months. No, I'm kidding. I did not, but that would be funny if I did.
And you've been watching ESPN all day and you think it's
exactly.
great.
I know.
Maybe that's why it bothered me, because it was like pandering to that young demographic. I think it was around that time when ESPN was really trying to make the X Games a thing. Like they were really pushing it as, this is your new favorite sport, young people. It's young and edgy.
Like it's on par with the Olympics. The Olympics are a 20th century thing. This is what everyone likes today.
Exactly. And here, look at us in this new superhero movie. He could leave and do anything, and what does he want to do? X Games.
Right. Von Doom had found a way to change Ben Grimm back to his human form. And this becomes a Superman 1 problem. If Superman knows how to turn back time and, fix a mistake, basically he can now do that forever whenever he has any problem. Ben Grimm in this universe can never again have an issue because he can just turn back and forth. Because they didn't really establish, if you do it, like every time you switch back, your heart can't take more than a few of these, something like that. He's turned back and he has to make a decision whether he wants to stay in his human form or turn back to the Thing. And of course, at the at the right moment, he does smash through the wall, punch Von Doom, and he does say, "Did you know that this was the Thing's catchphrase? It's clobberin' time."
No, I did not know that.
I have to say that I did like the way they introduced it, because I was kind of wondering, I'm like, how are they going to get it in? I loved how they introduced Hulk smash into the Avengers when Captain America said it to him. I thought that was very clever. And in this film, there was a marketing guy. I think it was Stan Lee, right?
No, Johnny says, oh, I had the guys in marketing send me this, but who are their guys in marketing? Who's the marketing department? It's not like The Boys where they have, Vought International.
Exactly. It kind of sounds a little like Vought.
It really does. But sorry to keep going back to Reed Richards' finances, but who's paying a marketing fucking department?
Right. Or rather, if they have toys, maybe their financial problems are done. If everyone
Maybe.
wants to buy their shit.
Maybe toys and merchandising is the solution to their problems, and maybe Johnny's working on that on the side, but is he? Like, we don't know. It's so
Well,
confusing.
we do a little bit because Johnny Storm is like, hey, we should be like monetizing this. And like, you could tell he probably really does want to do all that stuff. But in the final scene, there's one other quote that I remember, and it's really, really bad, where Dr. Doom says to Invisible Woman, he goes, let's not fight. And she goes, no, let's. And then she shoots force field at him. It's really bad. That's a really, really bad line.
Yeah. The final showdown between Doom and the Fantastic Four, I thought was really anticlimactic. It's very short. Yeah, you get the sense that they're all working together. Finally, now they're a team. They've put their differences behind them, blah, 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 blah. But it feels really shallow. It doesn't seem like Von Doom is that hard to beat. Yes, he's strong, but he's outnumbered. So you would think that the movie would try to counterbalance that in some way, but it really doesn't. And also, the thing about going supernova that earlier in the movie Reed tells Johnny, don't ever do that. And then now he's like, no, no, do it. We need to. First off, it seems pretty dumb to attempt that in fucking Midtown Manhattan. Also, by the way, speaking of Reed making bad decisions and making mistakes, the whole chamber that he's doing, which is meant to have these cosmic rays that are thousands of degrees Kelvin or whatever, maybe don't do that in Midtown New York City. Seems like you could find a more remote place to do those experiments where shit could go wrong. But the way that they stop Doom is by having Johnny go supernova and then cooling him really fast. Dr. Doom had just done that to Reed, where he's like ultra cooling him. And they kind of do a callback to the joke about chemistry 101 or whatever. But I don't know. This is a superhero movie. So many of your moves are about chemistry and taking things that are hot and cooling them. That's boring chem lab stuff, Like, that's not cool. That's not interesting.
It would almost be interesting if like one of their other powers was like Iceman. And it's like, all right, you make it super hot, then you make it super cool. But it was more like you made him super hot, and I thought maybe that destroyed Doom. And then they just basically punch a fire extinguisher, and that's what does it. You're right. It was anticlimactic. It was like, again, it's Victor Von Doom. Like, it should have been something more fun.
Yeah. But James, what do you think about 2005's Fantastic Four? Does this movie stand the test of time?
This is a team that people have been trying to get right for a while. I think that this one was better than the 2015 version. There's a couple things to like in this movie. I think Chris Evans is good. I think Johnny Storm is pretty good in this film. I kind of like, I mean, he's a cocky asshole. You kind of hate him, but like him. I think Julian McMahon is fine in this film. I think Michael Chikos is good with what he has. I think Mr. Fantastic is miscast. I don't think he or Invisible Woman have any interesting characteristics that I know about. But mostly, they completely mess up Dr. Doom's character. He's such a cool villain. This guy was lame. I mean, it wasn't a good villain. And that's the point of any good film with a bad guy. From Die Hard to the best Bond films, it's all about a great villain. This just wasn't a great villain. No fault of the late Julian McMahon. But I just don't think the pieces came together in this. It's not terrible. I didn't dislike rewatching it, but I don't think I ever need to see this film ever again. And it doesn't stand the test of time. You could skip this one, and hopefully the new one is good, because there just hasn't yet been a really good movie iteration of the Fantastic Four, in my opinion. What about you, Al? Do you think 2005's Fantastic Four stand the test of time?
No. This movie is really cheesy and corny and very, very poorly paced. The origin story, sure, I get it. I understand why they did it and why it takes up so much of the film. but it's really, really slow. And a lot of it is them being cooped up in an apartment trying to figure stuff out. Maybe it's just because we're a couple years after COVID lockdown, but seeing people trapped in an apartment, trapped in their home, and they're desperate to get out. Maybe it just feels a little too real, but also it's not exciting. This is a superhero movie, and a lot of the movie takes place in the Baxter Building or the Von Doom Building.
It is $100 million film.
Sure, yeah, and like it's going back and forth between these two skyscrapers. Okay, the movie finally does pick up momentum towards the end, and then it ends. I think you could make the argument that what this movie is trying to do is more of a character study and trying to figure out who these people are and how they are different and how they are changed by this experience and what that does to them and their dynamics. That's there, but like it's so superficial. It's so surface level. You don't really get to know these characters. Like I was saying earlier, they're one-dimensional or less. So you can't really do a character study with characters that are that fucking thin. There's a Mr. Fantastic stretch thin joke in there somewhere. I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever. The point is that there's nothing here. There's no meat on the bone. It's not interesting. I don't care about these characters. I don't want to see them again. The fact that I've seen this movie now and the fact that I saw the 2015 version really makes me hope that in the new 2025 Fantastic Four, First Steps, that they don't do an origin story. I would be totally fine without seeing that. Or if they show it, do it quickly. Maybe it's a flashback. Maybe it's a news report exposition thing. Oh, they were in space and then there were rays and blah, blah, blah. Now they're superpowered. Cool. Get to it. Also, maybe that's not this movie's fault. I've just seen so many superhero movies and so many origin stories that, okay, I get it. They're coping with their powers. They don't know how. They're a team and they can't work together. But guess what? By the end, they are going to figure out how to work together. Yeah, I know. I've seen it a million times. I've seen it done better. Yeah, I really did not enjoy this movie at all. I'll be honest, there was a little part of me that was like, oh, maybe we should also do the sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer. But I don't want to, man. I don't want to spend any more time with these Fantastic Four, even though I am looking forward to seeing the new one. It just looks cool. There's something about the retro futuristic vibe that looks cool. And the actors that I know that are in the new one certainly seem like they're much stronger actors. So I have high hopes. But I do kind of think that even if the new one isn't great, my guess, and maybe this is just optimism, but my guess is that it's got to be better than this. And also, by extension, the 2015 one, which I remember seeing and thinking, man, there's a lot of good actors in this movie, but God, this movie's terrible. But that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, as promised in our American Psycho episode, my sister Samantha Noah is coming back on the show to talk about Sesame Street Presents, Follow That Bird. The movie's turning 40 years old. My sister and I have a lot of memories of that movie. I know you said you'd never seen it, so buckle up for a movie all about Big Bird.
I will watch with an open mind.
Very good. That's all I can ask. In the meantime, write to us at Test of Time Pod, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. Let us know what you think about the Fantastic Four, about Jessica Alba, about Reed Richards' finances, about Dr. Doom's powers, all of the things. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.